If men were measured by kindness, you'd be no bigger than a speck of dust. We're talking Mickey's Christmas Carol. Hit it. It was 1983. President Reagan proposed a strategic defense initiative. The Atari 5200 was $199. Return of the Jedi was released and ended the Star Wars saga. And Uncle Scrooge learned a valuable lesson about Christmas and generosity. I'm your host, Jerry D., with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me is a very special guest. You'll know her as one of the hosts of the Sleigh Bells and Mistletoe podcast, Mary Richards. Mary, how's it going?
Hey, so good. I feel like just the weather is getting cooler and I'm so excited for Christmas.
Oh, I know. And I wish it was like that. We were supposed to get a big cold front and it was going to get down to like the 55 and then It didn't quite make it. And so it was like, I think high 60s, which is still pretty cool for Texas, but
not sweater weather. You need sweater weather.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what you need for Christmas time. So that was kind of a bummer, but I work in a Christmas store, so every day I get my Christmas fix, and each day just gets us a little closer. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm jealous of that for you. That's cool.
It is really fun. And one guy said that I'm doing really important work, and so I just kind of laughed. But okay, that's if you think so, and I like to think so, but.
Oh, I know so, Jerry. This is truth. Take it and run with it.
All right, sure. So, let me start off by asking, Mickey's Christmas Carol. What's your experience or your history with it?
Yeah, I grew up watching it. We had, you remember the old Disney DVD, or not even DVD, VHS that came in like the puffy, like book kind of jacket.
And it's like white, yeah.
Yes, you know.
Yep.
Totally. Oh, you're all things 80s, and I'm a child of the 80s.
Nice.
So yeah, I was born in 79. So I don't remember a Christmas without watching Mickey's Christmas Carol growing up. It was just a tradition for us. Probably also because there were so many of us kids. I grew up in a large family. And we all needed something we could agree on. And we'd watch like Scrooge, the musical from 84, 85. Or when was that one? With Albert Finney. We'd watch that, but this one was like better for us as kids because it wasn't as scary.
Yeah.
It was weird. And it got the message across, and it bought my parents like a half an hour of just like quiet.
Oh, yeah. Yes, as a parent of three children, I definitely understand that.
But maybe they wished it was longer. They're like, "Watch Mickey's Christmas Carol. It's over already." And I thought that watching it again this week, I thought, this is shorter than I remember. But anyway, I don't know if that means anything, but yeah.
It is,
totally
yeah. It's a quick little short, and it used to be played in front of the Rescuers. So it came out when the Rescuers came out. And so it was like, how they do the Pixar now, they do the little shorts before the movie. And so this kind of premiered with that, which, most people don't really do that anymore.
No.
It's really you only see it in like Pixar movies, and which is kind of a shame because, we get like little gems like this, which was even nominated for an Academy Award.
Oh, was it really? I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It didn't win, but hey, it's cool just to be nominated.
It's an honor just to be nominated. I'm so happy to be here.
That's what they always tell. Yeah, it's what they tell themselves.
I know. When I heard that theme music again, because it's on Disney Plus now.
Which
is great. Yeah, I just thought, hey kids, I think I showed it to my children a few years ago. I found it. Maybe it came on TV or on YouTube or something, but this time I pulled it up on Disney Plus, and as soon as the music started to play, I felt like I was 5 years old again, surrounded by my siblings, snowing outside. It was just perfect.
Yeah, it's a really great special, and for the longest time, it was my favorite version of A Christmas Carol. And it still kind of goes back and forth sometimes between this and like A Muppet's Christmas Carol,
Oh, that's
uh,
so good.
and Scrooged. I really like Scrooged, but
Me
like it kind
too.
of alternates between the three, just depending on my mood. But I saw it again right now with my children, and I mean, they had the popcorn and they had their blankets, and I mean, it was just wonderful, and I got to just sit and experience it and watch them experience it, and yeah, there really is something about it. And I think it's because it's not only is it cartoon, but it's Disney, and usually
Mhm.
Disney already has a warm, fuzzy connotations, and
Oh yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
they loved it, and
Yeah. Well, and my kids were like, "Hey, we've seen that character before," or whatever, because you not only have your main Disney characters playing these roles, but even some minor ones that they've seen in other movies or other Disney shorts. They were like, "Oh, wait, that's There's even like the little rabbits from Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. I saw them,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I didn't catch that when I was younger. I think I'm like, oh, those are the rabbit, and then like the Wind in the Willows toad, and like
Hmm.
or whatever, and just all these other side characters were fun to notice and point out, and but obviously our favorites as well. And didn't you just think that they fit perfectly in those roles?
They did, which is really
Yeah.
strange because originally, when this came out, it was done as a record in 1974. And originally, Merlin was a ghost of Christmas past, and the Wicked Witch, the evil queen from Snow White in her witch form, was the
Mm-hmm.
ghost of Christmas future.
Oh, that makes
And
sense.
right, oh yeah, I think I would have been even more terrified of her. Pete already scared me, but I can't even imagine with that. But later on, it was released in '82, and then it was with this new cast, the Jiminy Cricket, and the ones we know, Pete replacing the other two,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Yeah, let's make it happen." And you can
Yeah,
actually,
that's cool. I didn't know that. Do you? Well, have you read or anything if they remaster the voices? Because Jiminy Cricket sounded a little bit different to me
he
than in my
did.
memory.
Now, I didn't see anything, but I believe it was a different voice of Jiminy Cricket because there were several voices that had changed. So, like Donald Duck, this is like the very last time that the original Donald Duck voice actor was used, and then he passed
Okay.
away, and then the new guys took over. Same thing. This was like Scrooge's first time playing him. Ellen Young, its first time as Scrooge, and so on and so on. So it could just be
Okay.
that. Because yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
There was a few voices here and there that weren't quite what I remembered, but at the same time, they're
Mm-hmm.
also like the voices that I grew up with, and so they're the voices that to me are the characters, which is strange.
Yes, I know. Is it that guy, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck? And I just thought, how perfect is it that Ebenezer Scrooge remember him from like DuckTales swimming in his piles of
Hmm.
money or whatever?
Yes.
And it's like perfect that he's, that Scrooge McDuck is, and then, but maybe they did that on purpose anyway. And then his nephew Donald, and
Donald.
then
Hmm.
Mickey, yeah, and then everyone was perfect for it. Though the two folks that come and they're asking for alms for the poor,
Oh,
wasn't that
it was Molly and Ratty from The Wind in the Willows.
oh, they were okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
those two. I
Yeah.
didn't know that one. I didn't know them as well, but the others worked fine. I mean, they just worked great. I just watching it again, and then my son just now before I came out, my older son, my high schooler, when
Oh.
I came outside for this, he goes, we could watch that again if you want. I'd be fine with that. I was like, yes, for sure.
You're like, I'm doing something right.
I thought it was good.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially in high school, that's the age
I
when you don't want to
know.
do anything like that. So that's
Oh
great.
no. He was like, I'd probably rather watch The Office, but if you wanted to watch that again, I'd watch that with you. So I thought that was cute. We bonded over Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Nice. That's a good one to bond over. But
Yeah.
I know what you mean because watching it this time, there was a lot of characters that I didn't notice in the background as well. So like right away, when it starts off, of course, we get the awesome, it's like a book, kind of a thing.
Yes.
And with the sepia tone or sepia, I don't know how you pronounce the word.
I only ever read it, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, same here. And I noticed right away when they cut to it, it's the big bad wolf and the three little pigs, and the big bad wolf is dressed up as Santa, and he's got like a Salvation Army kind of. So that was just a little detail that had completely passed me every single time that I've watched it.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun saying, "Oh yeah, there's them," and that guy's there. Yeah, it was really cool. But I think that was more me, since my children are still pretty young. I think that was me. Yeah.
It's all new to them. But for those of us who grew up watching these classic Disney shows and then growing up with this in the 80s, it was just like a little nostalgia for sure coming back to me, and memories flooding back. And but can we just talk about how Goofy was like perfect? I mean, just so funny. It really lightened that. Yeah, it lightened it for me, because in the other Christmas Carol adaptations, that whole visit from Jacob Marley is pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Which, when you think about it, it is supposed to be. But usually it's played very creepy. And you're right. Goofy, he really kind of toned it down, which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, he comes in getting creepy. And when the doorknob happened, my little 4-year-old was watching with us too. And she was like, what's happening? When the door hanger changes. And then when he comes through the door and he's like, Ebenezer Scrooge. She's like, I don't like this, Mommy. And I'm like, wait for it. And then he starts to trip. And
slips on the cane. Yep.
Yeah. And she was like, oh, I like this guy. This is great. And I thought, what better way to like introduce these themes and this whole classic story to kids than through this way. And then they can grow up and go on to those other versions. I got to do Muppet Christmas Carol with them next for sure.
It's a good one. Yeah. Well, and even in that one, I think Rizzo even says, like, aren't you worried about the kids getting scared or something? And Gonzo says, oh, it's culture,
That's right. That's totally my approach to parenting.
Yeah, exactly. And it's completely true about this Mickey one as well. I mean, it's literally, it's their introduction to like a classic. It's 150 years old by now. Well, a little bit more, actually, 170 years old. And I mean, it's just it really is one of my favorite stories. But this one in particular is really good.
I know. Did you see that? I'm sure you did. Maybe you've even talked about it. I missed it. Well, it's not from the 80s, but a couple years ago, the movie about the writing of A Christmas Carol.
Yes, The Man Who Invented Christmas.
Yes, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun to watch.
It was.
Though, I mean, it was probably a little bit fictionalized, but the story behind the writing of it was really cool for me.
Yeah.
Because just that helps more about it as well. And, those details that you were sharing about the kind of origins of Mickey's Christmas Carol, I think help make it a richer experience to learn how they've changed things or how they wrote it, or, those kinds of things help me appreciate it more. And I think it could be, well, I don't know, maybe I've got to think for kids, but as an adult, I wouldn't have minded it. Some scenes just stretched a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame. I was thinking that as well. I think it's kind of a shame that it was just a short, played before the movie, because it would have been nice as like a full movie, or even if it was just, I'd say maybe 15 minutes longer. I think it would have worked really well. Like if they had done it as a special on TV, which, of course, throughout the 80s, they played it on TV. But if they had done it like for TV, as an hour-long block, maybe about 45 minutes, I think it would have been perfect. Because I kind of missed some of the normal scenes that we see, like when he goes to his nephew Fred's party, that kind of thing. When he's a little boy, I would have liked to have seen Scrooge as a little boy.
Yes. Yeah. A little bit more of that.
Yeah.
And a little bit more of his, because it seems too sudden.
It's very
change.
abrupt. Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been nice to see a little more of that growth through that really long night and those visits that probably took a long time as well with each experience. Extend them out just a little bit longer to see why he wakes up so resolved to be better.
Yeah.
But maybe that's enough for kids. I mean, that last spirit is so scary. Being shoved into your own grave is probably enough.
Well, I mean, it's even worse when, the coffin opens and then you just see like flames. And I mean, is that supposed to be like, hell? I mean, pardon my, but I mean, I mean, it was frightening. And then Pete's just cackling and, laughing with like
that
crazy.
Big fat cigar. Which I was like, kids, don't smoke. Look at that bad guy smoking. He's bad. And then the weasels, the grave diggers. Yeah, they were
that
pretty,
started it all. Yeah. It was very terrifying. Yeah. I mean, afterwards, I remember I wanted to be as good as I could be.
You're like, I don't want to do that. Well, and it was actually like sad. And I don't know if I caught it. No, I'm sure I caught it as a kid. That Tiny Tim dies in his vision because they're holding the little crutch on his grave. That is sad. And that's probably enough to shake you into trying to do your best to help change that family's life.
Oh yeah,
to see him die. Yeah.
Well, he was so cute. That,
I know.
when you see when Mickey has the tears in his eyes, I mean, it really, as they say, it gets you in the feels.
I know when he's cutting that tiny, tiny little turkey bird like on
Oh
their
yeah.
plates, and he's like, "Here you go, Dad," and hands him his drumstick. I was like, "Oh, that boy's perfect."
I know.
But,
And
yeah,
my wife, because we were watching it right now, my wife just looked at me and she kind of gave me that, that puppy dog eyes, and, like she
yes.
was about to burst into tears. And I kind of had to say, no, don't.
Don't,
Like, please don't.
pull it
I'll
together.
cry if you do.
I know. Oh, it's so sweet. Yeah, what a loving, sweet family. And I love how they portray, I don't know, what do you call them? The Mouse family? Mickey Mouse's, Bob Cratchit.
The Cratchits, I suppose, yeah.
Forgive me. Yes, of course. They just seem so, so optimistic and loving and cheerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Mickey always is smiling and trying his best. And, he's denied the one piece of coal to thaw thing. And he's like, no problem. I'm fine.
That was really good.
Yeah.
That was a good Mickey.
Oh, thanks. Well, but yeah, I thought and when the family was all together, I was impressed by that scene. Now as a mom, I think as a kid, I probably focused more on the food, like, man, they don't have enough food. But as a mom, I watching it this time, I thought, oh, I love how their family just works on that attitude and loving home, even though they're just having these terrible circumstances. So
yeah.
I like that a lot. Anyway,
but that kind of reminds me of when the Ghost of Christmas Present and Scrooge. They're looking through the window of the Cratchit's house, and he's like, that can't be all there is to eat, and what's that on the fire or whatever, and the ghost is like, oh, that's your laundry.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, can we talk about the ghost? He was my favorite part.
Me
of the
too.
Growing up,
same here.
Sure.
Completely, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, I think we would act him out as kids. Like we would stuff my brother up in a big coat and stuff him fat and be like, "You're the Ghost of Christmas Present" or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'd be like, fun, because he's also funny in other Mickey and the Beanstalk special. Yeah. But the things we used to act it out, and it totally came back to me when he's like, pistachio, pistachio. With ice cream, that whole
I still say that whenever the kids, I ask them what they want for a snack, and they'll say, yogurt, and I'll say, yogurt.
Yeah, that's it, with yogurt. Yeah. Awesome. What are you talking about? It's classic. Come on, let's watch it. It
really is. But when he first, I mean, I guess we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but no worries. Everybody knows what a Christmas Carol story is, so it really doesn't matter. But when the Ghost of Christmas Present appears, and the very first thing you see is, Scrooge hears the noise, and then he opens the blinds.
Curtains. Yeah.
And of course you see the big old eye of the ghost, because he's the giant from, like you said, Mickey and the Beanstalk. But one of my favorite things is looking at all the bounty, I suppose.
Yeah, the cornucopia of
there you go.
You kind of want to pause and
mince pies
everything.
and I mean, they really sold it. It was really good. And I remember as a kid wanting to eat some of that stuff.
Oh, same, for sure.
And I didn't even know what a mince pie was, but I wanted one so bad.
I think when I finally had one, I was like, that's not as I thought it would be. Yeah, that juxtaposition. Right. I think that juxtaposition stayed with me. All that delicious looking food. And then when they're peering in the window of the Cratchit house, and he's just got that tiny little bird. Yeah. When, that's so funny when he picks him up and he goes down the grapes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like his foot stuck in a grape.
Yeah, my 1-year-old saw that, and she can't say grapes. She says bapes, with the B. Yeah. And she was pointing and saying something like, oh, bapes. That's
so cute.
Man. Yeah, they really liked it. But I remember laughing at that part when I was little. I just thought it was the funniest things. They just kind of fell right off.
Oh, so funny. And the sound effects, and he's shaking it off his foot, and he's trying to catch him, and he ends up in his pocket. It's just such a good scene. Just so funny. That probably was for sure our favorite scene. I think of the Christmas past scene. I don't know if I really understood the true nature of that.
I agree. Yeah, same thing. I mean, of course, now that we've seen a million versions, and now that we're a little bit older, we completely get it. But you're right. I remember as a kid, it was oh, okay, I guess he's mean now. I mean, it just completely kind of passed me by.
Yeah. It doesn't show that.
But I do love in that scene when I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It makes me laugh. When she's like,
Daisy?
Ebenezer, I'm
Yes.
standing under the mistletoe.
You're also standing on my foot.
Yeah. It's so great.
So funny.
There's a lot of little one-liners and little things that Scrooge would say that just really made me laugh. And I mean, it made it so enjoyable.
Yeah, it did. Oh gosh, the part when she comes to him, and he's behind his stacks of money.
Oh
and
yeah,
and
he just
like,
got those evil-looking eyes.
Oh, he's so awful to her. She's like, something. What did she say? Something about the cottage? And
I've
he's
had
like,
my honeymoon cottage for years, or something like that.
Yes, waiting, and he's like, I'm foreclosing the mortgage, and the little hearts in the air just crumble.
Just crack. Oh, I know.
Oh, that was well done, but also so sad.
But she gets him back. She closes that door really hard, and it makes his pile of money just kind of fall all over the place.
It does. It messes up his counting. When you're counting something and your kids come in and say something, and you're like, Ma, I have to start all over. Mm-hmm. That was like times 100 for him. Made his, because
I think he was in like 9,000. In the
9,173. Yeah. I can't you do the accent really well.
No, it was good.
Oh man.
It's
good.
It's such a great special. Everything about it. I mean, it's really joyful. Even when it's kind of scary, there's still like a joy about it.
It doesn't get too heavy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like when we were talking about the Ghost of Christmas Present, so he's getting ready to go take Scrooge on this journry. And I like how he just lifts the roof off and kind of climbs out of it.
The best. And then he takes the lamppost like a light flashlight. Yes. It's so funny. Yes. It's so creative. Yeah, that was good. That was good TV for sure.
It was very clever. Yeah, because then he's like lifting the roofs off of houses, and
doesn't somebody scream?
Scream,
like, yeah. Wrong house, and they keep tromping through.
Yeah, it really is just really clever writing. Even from when the money collectors, or not money collectors, I guess alms collectors, I should say, go to Scrooge in his counting house, and he gives them that whole spiel about, if we give money to the poor, they won't be poor. And then if they're not poor, you won't have a job. Please don't make me put you out of a job at Christmas. I mean,
and they're like, oh no, of course not.
Yeah.
That's good writing. He just completely spins it with like just a minute, or like a sentence or two, just and turns it. Yeah, that's really good stuff. Yeah, I tell you, I feel like that part as a kid. No, maybe I understood. I don't know. I just remember watching them leave and. Which makes it great later when he just piles all the bags of money on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love how he opens his coat and they're just like, there's 6 pockets of bags of gold in his coat. Yeah. And he, of course, as he throws them out, they're like super full.
Yeah. Like he would have had trouble walking with that weight.
Well, gold is heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Because they get like scrunched down by it, and like, oof. And the clattering as it just piles all around them.
Oh yeah, it's excellent. The sound design is great because I mean you can just imagine the gold hitting the ground and clinking against each other. But I love how it kind of falls into the to Molly's pants and it kind of pulls his pants down and you can see he's got the polka dot boxer shorts. I mean it's
Disney likes to do that. I think they've done that before and other things.
Yeah, they sure have. I think quite
comedic
a few
moments.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, we probably I don't know, I don't think I did anything with that with my kids. I think they just laughed and we moved on from that. And then the other really funny like visual comedy part is when he puts the wreath over poor Donald and kicks him out the door.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and you hear the classic wahoo. Oh no, wait, that's Goofy.
Goofy
when
does
Goofy
that one.
Slips. But
Donald does the whole like let's see, and you're gonna have to forgive me because my Donald is terrible. It's something like yeah, I don't know, something like that. But
spot on, completely it.
But yeah, Goofy. So when he's walking in, he slips on the cane, as Marley. And so we get that first kind of thing. But then as he's walking out, he makes sure to step over the cane. And then you hear Scrooge.
Watch out for that first step.
And then we get that classic call that you did a little while ago.
Yeah, the wahoo. Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, I can't do it. But
that was such great comedy gold, that part, and the kicking Donald out the door in the wreath. But then he pops right back in. He's like, "Merry Christmas," and puts the wreath on the doorknob and scoots. Yeah. But yeah, and Jacob Marley, Goofy falling down the stairs, just too funny.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. It's just perfect for this whole feel of this like lighthearted but sharing this message, helping you drawn into it, I guess, with that laughter and that connection. But then getting the message that the whole thing gives you is done really well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So, I mean, it's, even as they start off with Marley, it's really creepy. It's you see his shadow following Scrooge, and then he turns around and it disappears, but you can hear the clanking of the chains that he's got around him. But then like every time it gets too scary, they kind of break it a little bit. So, it's going, and then he turns around and like tickles, as he's fighting the air, he tickles Goofy. And, Goofy picks up his hat and Scrooge is all like scared. So there's always these little things to kind of break the tension a little bit, which is nice. And I think you kind of have to do that when you're dealing with kids, because you don't want to go too scary.
Right.
But at the same time, you want to keep adults interested.
Yeah, I think so. That's right. And to strike that balance. Like he's like, doomed to carry these chains for eternity, or maybe even longer. It kind of like does that quick like change where you're like, oh, this is sad. Oh, it's funny. It lightens it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
he's like, you're visited by 3 spirits.
Oh yeah, and he holds up 2 fingers. Yeah.
Tonight.
Yes, for those listeners, since you can't see Mary, she was holding up 2 fingers. Just like Goofy does.
Just like Goofy does. That part's so funny. You'll be visited by 3 spirits. Yeah.
Well, he is Goofy. I mean, he's still not the sharpest guy in the.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, how are they partners?
I have no idea.
Yeah. It's like, do you remember when we robbed the rich and swindled the poor? And all on the same day. Oh, you had class.
You had class, yeah.
Yeah. Or Jacob. You had class, Jacob. Like, I don't know how they were partners because.
I wonder if, the only thing that kind of makes sense is if Goofy already owned the counting house and then Scrooge just kind of took over.
Junior partner. That makes sense.
I guess.
Actually.
I don't know.
Actually, that totally makes sense. And then Scrooge became harder and harder. And Jacob Marley was bad, but he's still Goofy. So, anyway. Maybe he's changing in his eternal damnation or something.
Compared to a lot of other ones, this one's really fun, especially when you think of like that new Christmas Carol that they just did like last year with Guy Pearce?
On FX. That's super dark.
Yeah. Did you see that one? Yeah, I didn't either.
Thinking about it, but I don't know.
I've heard bad things about it, so I didn't watch it, but it's like every time they try to attempt to do it, they try to capture more of that spooky atmosphere. And it's good, and I like it, but at the same time, like, I think you can go too far. And so what I love about this one is that it really strikes that balance between the two. Just like same thing with Muppet Christmas Carol, and I like to think Scrooge as well, but some of them, like that one just really went too far in that dark territory.
Which I don't think Dickens would have appreciated. Well, I mean, Dickens lived in a hard time. I mean, with lots of poor, and they were in these poor houses. It was terrible. But I don't know if he looked for the bad as much as looked for the good among the bad. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I really can't. I can't say for certain because I'm not a Dickens scholar, but I mean, I would like to think so.
Looking back with my 2020 lenses to that time, I'm like, for sure he was, But I agree with you. Maybe because I work, my day job is I'm a reporter on a news radio station,
right?
So I work in a lot of darkness and bad news anyway. So when I look for entertainment, I'm looking for something with a happy ending and a little bit lighter of a feel. I can't go too dark in my entertainment. So
like Hallmark movies.
Well, yes, actually.
I like Hallmark movies. I'm not afraid to say
it. My co-host Ricky Meese on our podcast, she teases me all the time about it. And I'm like, I can't help it. I love them. I turned 40 and I changed. I can't get enough.
See, and I liked them even before I was 40. So.
There you go.
They're just, they're atmospheric, and they all have a happy ending, which I'm a sucker for too. And you can just really just turn your brain off and enjoy the Christmas of it all. And so I always appreciate that. But you're right. Like anytime you can get a chance to watch something, especially this year, something that's uplifting and lighthearted and funny.
Yeah.
I mean, why not enjoy the chance?
I know, exactly. Yeah, I went way overboard this July with Christmas in July. You can't go overboard. Who am I kidding?
I don't
But I
think you can.
probably did. Thank you. Yeah, I just needed it this year, especially. You know, the Christmas, what are all those hashtags of quarantine Christmas and Christmas COVID?
Yeah,
Give
like
me all of them.
from your latest episode, and
Yeah. Yeah, we talk about that a lot. We just, I don't know. It's been something that's cheered me up. And so, and that's why I like about your podcast is that you're not going to just do this one time of the year. You're having this throughout the year, which I love. So.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, why not? People like to think about when they were young. I mean, I do. I love playing with, I mean, I see the toys and the cartoons and stuff that my kids watch. And I'm like, what happened to like Thundercats or Rainbow Bright or, where's the Cabbage Patch Kids and Transformers?
The classic stuff, He-Man, all those things.
Yes. Yeah. So I actually did bring a lot of my toys that my parents had kept from when I was little. And so my kids play with them now.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry, any collectors out there, you know, a lot of them were damaged anyway. They really weren't worth much, but they love to play with them. And so, I mean, why not? And so anytime you get to think about something like that, and especially in reference to Christmas, you know, which is like the happiest time of year, everybody tries their best to be just a little bit better and be a little bit nicer. And it might not be much, but you know, even if it's just a little bit, I mean, why not bring that to everyone as much as you can? You know?
For sure. Yeah, I know. That's so funny you mentioned collectors because we got a whole Lego bin of broken sets or like broken apart sets from my husband's younger brothers. And I'm looking through there. I'm like, these are like classic sets from the 80s. Nice. I think that's Benny. I think that's Benny the Spaceman.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, you know, I'm there just like playing with him, and I thought, well, you know, let it go, fine, just play, have a good time, and they've had a great time. But some part of me in the back of my head's like, I should have saved that.
Yeah.
I don't know where he went.
Every once in a while, when one of my a couple of my He-Man toys, I mean, they were old. My parents kept them in the attic, and you know, Texas heat. I mean, a lot of them were pretty much ruined. So a couple of the toys actually broke, and my kids were terrified to tell me. I'm like, it's okay, you know, go have fun with them. Yeah. They were really, you know, they were old. They weren't kept very well. So of course they're going to break. Just go have fun and play with the rest. And so
American Pickers doesn't really make it to Texas much.
No, not much. We don't have basements. We have attics, and it's all anything up there pretty much is ruined. So.
Oh man, that's funny. Good for you guys.
Yeah, but as far as I remember, I think we owned this one also on the that VHS you were talking about.
Yeah.
And
it was either in the plastic sleeve or like but I remember we would open it and pull it out and pop it in the VHS player. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It was a really good one. And I think it was one that we tried every year. Like if they showed it on the Disney Channel or ABC or whatever, we always tried our best to watch it.
Yeah.
Now we wouldn't always make it, but we did try. And, you know, of course, back then you had to kind of just wait for the commercials to tell you when they were going to air, and you better watch it.
Yeah. Or you missed it. And then like, have you seen that meme that says every child of the 80s remembers like that thrill or that terror of like rushing to the bathroom and then hearing it's back on.
Yeah.
And you're like, rush, jump over the couch. I gotta make it. And then and also the save my spot. And then you rush down the hall during the commercials. Yeah.
Yes, that was a good one.
Yeah. Save my spot. I'll be right back. Yeah. They have no idea. Well, and then you also, can you even tell, this happens to me where I'm watching something now streaming. I'm waiting for the spot where our VHS would, like, our videotape would crackle. Oh, that's in my memory, like that little like blip.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is smoother. This version's so smooth.
Yeah.
Growing up, it was like you'd hear a little brrr in different spots.
Yeah, you could tell when the tape had been worn pretty from watching.
And you're sitting there like tracking like on the thing, like trying to move it to like get rid of the lines up or down, and then you're just,
Oh man, yeah, kids, they don't know it nowadays. You just stream it and you're fine.
Yeah.
Although I guess every once in a while the stream can kind of freeze. Yeah, and stuff like that. But
they hate that. It's just such a trial.
Oh yeah. So with this special. It kind of got mixed reviews. I mean, overall, it did really well. You know, like I said, it was nominated for an Academy Award for a Best Animated Short Subject, and it lost to something I'd never even heard of. But like Siskel and Ebert, like they really did not like it at all. They gave it 2 thumbs
What?
down. Yeah, it was crazy. Let's see. It says that Ebert stated that it lacked the magic of visual animation that the Disney people are famous for, and that it was a
Oh.
forced march through the Charles Dickens story without any ironic spin. And you hear something like that, and it kind of, I mean, it shocks you, but it also kind of like hurts your feelings a little bit. Like, what? I love this one. How come you didn't love this one?
Yeah, I take that a little personally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then
Oh.
on the other hand, you had film critic Leonard Maltin who like loved it. And I mean, he said that it was not a pale attempt to imitate the past, but that it was cleverly written, well staged, and animated with real spirit and a sense of fun. And I mean, he nailed it. I think he was totally right. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's perfect.
And I mean, of course, jokes on Siskel and Ebert. It ended up being nominated for an Academy Award. So
Yeah. And it stuck around.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think. At least
Yeah,
I
it's
hope.
got
I
a
mean,
legacy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they put it on Disney Plus, so I imagine they'll get some new. And when it comes on TV still these days, I would hope it would keep having the next generation of fans grow up and like it,
Mm-hmm.
So even if they don't understand, like, don't recognize all the characters because they didn't grow up with those random other side characters, they would still enjoy it,
Right.
I would hope.
And even on Disney Plus, they have some of those older Mickey cartoons.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
So my kids have been watching some of the, Chip and Dale where they try to like get Donald or Pluto.
I love those Chip and Dale specials. I was watching them we had them all on video that we record, but then I found them on YouTube like 5-10 years ago. Nice. I mean, not even 10. How old is YouTube? But I was thinking about those. Do you remember the one where they're like, they live in Donald's like miniature little town or his miniature little neighborhood, the little chipmunks?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a scene where he lifts a roof in that as well. And he sees them in their little beds.
I think you're right.
He's got like a little train set around this model homes and they just move right in and he like cooks some little breakfast and stuff. Anyway, I think he lifts a roof to look at them, but I'm distracting us, but yeah, I just absolutely love like apple core, one or more, who's your friend? That whole scene with the chipmunks.
Yep.
And Donald's like, me, and they throw it at him. Yeah. Classic.
Yeah. But to your point, they do have a lot of these older cartoons now on Disney Plus as well. So, some of the kids that might not recognize all of them will at least get to watch some of them. So my son actually saw and noticed the rabbits or the bunnies, I guess, from Robin Hood.
Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw that with him a couple of months ago and he actually remembered, which I thought was kind of cool. He's only 3. And so I was like, yeah, you're right. And
Robin Hood was the first movie I watched when we got Disney Plus. As soon as we signed in, I said, stream Robin Hood. That was one of my favorites.
Me too. I loved Robin Hood. That one and The Sword in the Stone were like some of another one of my favorites, which actually kind of makes me wonder, because I've heard the album with Merlin. You can find the whole thing on YouTube, but I kind of would like to have seen it also animated in the special instead of Jiminy Cricket. But, at the same time, I like Jiminy Cricket and I've lived with it now for almost, 40 years. So I can't, I can't say anything bad about it. I mean, he's Jiminy Cricket,
It's what we know. Yeah, I know. I try to picture it with Merlin and I can't.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Well, and then his voice sounds very similar as well to Scrooge's. So it's a little bit difficult to pick them apart. The evil queen is incredibly disturbing because she cackles the whole time and just that real witchy evil laugh until the very end when she says the richest man in the cemetery. But,
wow.
I'm kind of glad they went with Pete, even though Pete was kind of scarring as well.
Yeah, she's creepy.
Yeah, she really is. The one thing that I really did love about Pete was when he was, so as soon as the ghost of Christmas Present disappears, all of a sudden all the smoke comes in and Scrooge is kind of looking around like where are you? And you see the big footprints. It's another good gag. But then we get all that smoke and it turns out it's from Pete's cigar, which I never picked up on as a kid.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. I just thought it was like a scene changing or like he's in fog, but it's him totally puffing his smoke on. He's like, I was like, woo. Yeah, as a parent, I thought how sometimes Disney and other companies have gone back and kind of edited some things in these past shows from decades past to try. They didn't edit that out, but how could you it would be too much? You would cut too much, and
Yeah, I think it would be pretty hard to do.
But he's evil. He's not a good guy smoking. He's a bad guy. So
Right. So yeah, exactly. See, you don't smoke.
Yeah, you're gonna be bad and putting people in their graves.
That's right. Yeah. Although it was terrifying when Scrooge, just like the root of, one of the plants, and he's trying to hold on to it, pull himself up. I remember like just being so afraid of that. But
yeah, that scene, and then Ratigan in The Great Mouse Detective.
Well, he also had a big cigar, didn't he?
Well, yeah, he did. Yeah, he stuck with me when it was in like the early to mid 80s, and that one scared me too.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, I'm fine, but I remember being really scared by that.
He was creepy, and I remember when I saw it, it reminded me of The Secret of Nim and Jenner.
Yes. Oh, I don't like that.
And Jenner was pretty creepy too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much. Those two went dark, right? I mean, that's almost like Disney writing for adults to watch that, because kids, it's like dark.
Well, and that was Don Bluth. He had taken, he left Disney because he wanted to do the darker, more adult kind of cartoons or adult-themed cartoons for children, and he took a bunch of Disney animators with him. So it still has that Disney style, And in fact, if you look at Ratigan, you look at Jenner, I mean, they're very similar.
They're similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Don Bluth, do you know, I just watched again the otth day for the first time in years, Thumbelina.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that in ages.
Yeah.
Like
it
ages.
came on one of our cable channels, and I'm like, I think I watched this as a kid. And I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, this is weird. And my kids were like, it feels like Disney, but it's just off a track, like just over here. And so, because it's Don Bluth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of bizarre. But yeah, some of those, and he did American Tail, I think.
I think he did, yeah.
Oliver, no,
that was
Oliver Company's Disney.
Yeah,
anyway.
that was Disney.
Yeah.
But yeah, a few other changes from the album to the special was that instead of water, the water rat and the mole, it was Honest John and Gideon from Pinocchio. They were the money collectors, which, I thought that was an odd choice.
Yes.
The scammers,
Interesting. Yeah, that's a weird casting decision. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad they changed. And honestly, I'm glad they changed them all, but I also kind of would have liked to have seen at least Merlin. I think the witch would be too scary for sure, but overall, I think they did a great job.
I do too. Yeah, I totally do too. It's just so fun. It's just, I mean, the music, as soon as it started, I was like singing along. Most of the words kind of came back to me. I just thought, I love this. And my high schooler, I know. Yeah. My high schooler goes, oh yeah, they used to run all the credits before, didn't they? I'm like, well, yeah, but they're making it enjoyable for you,
Right. Yeah.
So, but they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially
back in the old days.
Well, Star Wars was really the first one that changed that, because they wanted to have that opening crawl.
Oh,
and so I mean, I think he even had to get, I don't remember if he had to get permission or if he ended up just not doing doing
it.
Yeah, but
Mind's
they're
blown.
Exactly. They kind of pioneered that. But yeah, I do kind of like to see that older style where all the credits are in front. Not always, I'm used to it now, but every once in a while, especially with something as nostalgic as this, it's nice to see, and you get the nice music or overture. A lot of times, the older tunes had overtures to them, and so it's a really cool feeling to. But
Sleeping Beauty.
Yep, Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, where they have that music in the beginning, and it's just kind of, to me, it's part of the experience. But
for sure,
and I'm tempted sometimes to like skip forward because I'll be, but I'm like, no, they can sit through this. They can be fine, and they are.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know what you mean. The kids, I'll see them kind of fidget and squirm, but then it starts, and then after that, we don't have to worry about anything. We just get right into it. So
exactly.
But it does make me wonder. Would you say is your happiest memory of this special here? If you could pick one.
Yeah, I go back and forth between two. The music that we just talked about. I mean, right away, it was just came flooding over me. The music. I remember being with my siblings, sitting on our orange carpet and watching this on the TV. But probably the Ghost of Christmas Present. He's just the best. So he's just the one that stayed with me all these years since the 80s. And he's, probably my happiest memory is that big guy, the giant.
Yes, right on. So thinking back, it was really hard for me to pinpoint, but I remember I was sick and I stayed home from school one day, and I never really stayed home from school when I was sick very often.
Yeah.
I was pretty healthy, but there was this one time where I was sick and my grandma and my aunt came and they picked me up from school, took me to the doctor, and then brought me home. And I remember watching this movie, it was taped. They had taped it from the Disney Channel, I think. And it was great. I loved every moment of it. And so that's always stayed with me, just laying on the couch. And I think there was like a 7-Up or a Sprite in one hand. And I think I had some crackers or something in the other. And
I love
it was
that.
Good. Yeah.
That's a great memory.
It is.
Yeah, mine are it's just kind of generic, but I'm always looking over and seeing my brother there, the one that we dressed up like the giant. He's
you know what? If you're going to dress up one of your siblings as a ghost, it's better be the Ghost of Christmas Present, I think.
Exactly.
But now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is a little segment I like to call Gag Me with the Spoon. So this is where we do our best impression of our least favorite part of the special. And this one was like crazy hard because I like everything about the special. So to find a part that I liked at least the least, because I didn't hate anything, just the part I liked the least was very hard for me. But of course, we'll let the listeners vote on who has the best impression, and the winner will get a rad sticker, unless I win, in which I get nothing. But I think you're safe. I've never won yet. So, but as the guest, I'll let you go first. You just kind of set up the scene for us.
Okay. So, and I'm going to mess up the lines already. I had them written down. I left them inside, but we already talked about it. But I think it's the part with the two weasels. Like, when they're digging and, oh gosh, I can't even do their voices now. It's like leaving me, but they're like, cause I keep hearing the Pete guy in my head. What are they saying? Hang on. Oh, my listeners are going to make you win because I'm messing this up. Where they're like, just kind of laughing back and forth and, okay, I can't even do it. Never mind. I don't like them. I don't.
No, that was a good weasel laugh.
Okay, good. Oh, that's embarrassing.
And no offense intended. It's completely a compliment.
Okay, good. I should have practiced more in the mirror. They're like, okay, there you go.
That was good. For me, I ended up just kind of pulling one at random because I like everything about this. The part that I ended up picking was, and we kind of mentioned it already earlier, was when Goofy, or Marley's there, and he's saying, we robbed from the widows and, all that stuff. And then Scrooge, and I think you already did the line, you probably did it better than I did. And he says, yes, and all in the same day. Oh, you had class, Jacob.
That was perfect. You said you did very well.
Oh, thank you.
Very, very, very good.
Well, I had a lot of practice doing Mike Myers routines from from Saturday Night Live and all that. Welcome to All Things Scottish. I don't know if you remember that, but
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then how he kind of.
Oh, and then from So I Married an Axe Murderer.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's like Sputnik. It's like an orange on a toothpick. I'm not kidding. Look at the size of the head.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Head, pants, now.
Yeah, you do. I think you won that one for sure. That was very, very, very good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But we will leave it up to you listeners. And yes, please don't forget to vote. We'll put the poll up on Twitter. I'm not allowed to vote because I post the poll. So there is no scheming or anything on my part. It does make me have to ask. So I got to ask, G.I. Joe taught us, that knowing is half the battle. So what would you say is the other half?
Okay. I would say that money is bad, but also unless it's good. That's the that's the whole message for me is money is evil. Don't have it, you're bad until you can help people because you need tons and tons of money to pile it into the pants of somebody on the street to give to the poor.
That's true, yes.
You can't help people unless you're filthy rich and you can pile your bags of gold that you carry around in your jacket. So
Yeah, just don't become a miser. Yep.
yeah.
So for me, and that's better than mine. I was thinking of going from album to to special in this. I had that in my mind. So if knowing is half the battle, the other half is changing your product just enough that you can copyright it again.
Perfect. See, smart.
Mary, it's been a blast talking with you. Just
Good.
having so much fun and laughing and enjoying it. What do you want to plug? Tell me about your show.
Yeah. So we just started it about a year and a half ago, Sleigh Bells and Mistletoe Christmas podcast. And we called it that because Ricky, my co-host, who does most of the big interviews, she's really big on vintage Christmas. And so that's the Sleigh Bells part of it. And finding these unique stories of recipes and music and but the movies part, the mistletoe part is kind of more me. And I cover the Christmas news part of our podcast. So you can find us at Bells Sleigh on Twitter. Search for Sleigh Bells and Mistletoe Christmas podcast on Facebook and Instagram. And we're just happy to enjoy this whole season with you and love talking about Christmas.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely check it out. They had a really cool thing about the reindeer and trying to save, I think it's a reindeer farm.
In Washington,
Yes, it was really cool. And yeah, I mean, like I say with the Tis the Podcast guys, it gives me all the feels. So
there you go. I love that. Perfect.
So on that note, and again, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, I had a blast.
I did too. It was a lot of fun. But on that note, I will end it by saying, it's Christmas morning. I haven't missed it. The spirits have given me another chance to check us out on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're feeling as generous as Scrooge on Christmas morning, leave us a review on iTunes. Not only does it help us reach more people, but you also get a free sticker. Now, don't forget to vote. Later, dudes.